Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy Schizomaniac here. I know you guys haven't gotten a video from me in a while, and that's primarily due to there was a baby in the house, and I got sick again, and I'm still recovering from sickness. So if you hear it in my voice or some sniffles, please excuse me, but I wanted to get something out because it's been a little bit too long after I said I finished Journeys and I was going to put up some more anime content, and then I got sick again and nothing goddamn got done. So god damn it, god damn it, god damn it. We gotta get something done. And one of the things I figured I wanted to address is I think some of my other videos I pretty much put Black Clover and My Hero Academia against each other. And that is a comparison I kind of like doing. But I did want to address some of the criticisms Black Clover gets. Because let's be real here, between the two, Black Clover tends to get the majority of the criticism. And the main criticism that usually goes with Black Clover is how it's a generic ass series that pretty much just pulls from other different shonen. People say it's a mix of One Piece, then it's a mix of Fairy Tail, it's a mix of Naruto, has mixes of Berserk because that's what it's based off of. Like, look at all these elements they pull from. And today I wanted to spell one of the most annoying fucking critiques I always hear. And it's the one that never made any sense to me because it was never true, but for some reason people thought it was true based off of a really surface level detail. And which one is that? That Naruto and Sasuke's dynamic is being cloned in the form of Asta and Yuno. I have no fucking clue why people feel this so strongly about this because it hasn't ever been true and it hasn't been. You know what? You want to know what chapter dispelled that? It was chapter fucking 1. It was chapter motherfucking 1 got rid of that suspicion. But people still ran around and said it like it made sense. So to kind of get into this discussion, I got to make some comparisons. And this isn't really if Black Clover is better than Naruto or if Naruto is better than Black Clover. Because I'm going to critique both for different reasons. But I want to make this point clear. They're not even close to being the same dynamic. The only reason why people say that those dynamics are similar is because of what they're looking at on the base level of it. The Naruto in part 1 was loud and obnoxious, and part 2 Sasuke was the cool pretty boy, right? And that's pretty much Asta and Yuno on a basic. This, if you look at them, that's what they are. Even though in the first episode they dispel it. So here's something we have to acknowledge about Naruto. The Naruto-Sasuke relationship is very much a pseudo-family relationship without actually being family. Asta and Yuno's relationship is literally a brother rivalry because they were raised as a family versus Naruto and Sasuke who were raised separately, primarily by themselves due to their family history and the tainted history of the leaf and Danzo being a piece of shit. But even with that not being common knowledge, the reason why they're not the same is that Naruto and Sasuke's relationship objectively is toxic as hell. You gotta understand, I'm not gonna go through every single little point, but just to give you a couple of examples. In the first chapter, Tabata made it a point to acknowledge that Yuno, although views Asta as a rival and isn't as directly nice to him as he used to be as a child, very much still holds Asta in high regard and has never talked down about him to anyone else. He may talk shit to Asta because you just talk shit with your friends. But if anyone else runs their motherfucking mouth, you get your ass whooped. And Yuno's done this in multiple occasions. There's two I'll bring up just as quick examples. The first one is the most obvious one, which is when Langris ran his mouth talking a bunch of shit about his brother and then also about Asta. And Yuno's like, what are you talking about? I've always, because he made fun of the fact that they were so open about declaring to be the Wizard King. And he's like, I've never been embarrassed by Asta. Like, he has gone on record multiple times, like, he is my friend and he is my rival. And he's the one who gave me hope. That is what Asta means to him. And he will never belittle that man. He may talk his shit to try to like get him riled up because his whole ultimate goal is to have Asta right there next to him, regardless if he becomes Wizard King or not. He wants Asta right there with him. They want this competition. Now contrast that to Naruto and Sasuke. If you remember how Naruto and Sasuke started, it started as that kind of frenemy crap where like they pretty much hated each other, but like started going closer together because they were on missions together all the time, and they just grew closer naturally. And then Sasuke became petty as shit because his ego was damaged. The two obvious, well, there's three moments, and to be fair, Naruto was petty as fuck too. To give the example, in the big first, in the what is it, the journey to the land of waves with the whole bridge builder situation at the beginning of the series. Sasuke saves Naruto, and it fucks him up. It fucks Naruto up. And Naruto is petty. And the reason why I say he's petty is because he then reuses that. So the line Sasuke uses, at least in the dub, is, "What's wrong? You're not scared. You aren't hurt, are you?" Like pretty much mocking him for being a coward. And then later on during the Chunin exams, when Naruto saves Sasuke from Orochimaru, he uses that exact line on Sasuke. Now, this is obviously a dig, and it's meant to be something similar to like when Naruto, when Yuno says shit to Asa, it's meant to rile him up to kind of like boost his confidence. But the way their relationship was up until that point, you realistically couldn't tell if he was just getting payback or if he legitimately was like, "You're better than this." In Naruto's case, it was a kind of a mixture of both, right? So Naruto got into his bag, especially during like the interruption, the village of the sand versus the village hidden in the leaves, right? When that whole war started and that whole guard fight happened, is when Naruto had proven he was in his bag and he had gotten his shit together. And then the man went and learned Rasengan, and Sasuke's ego had been slowly beaten down because the difference, because even though Yuno and Asta have that same drop in disposition, where Yuno is considered the better of the two off jump, like Sasuke was considered the better of the two off jump, Yuno never like disrespected Asta for it. Whereas like Sasuke's, at least in the dub, would always call Naruto a fucking loser. That's what he would do. Because at the time, he was beneath him. And then he started getting better. Got summoning jutsu, started getting a hold on the fox transformation. And then eventually learning the Rasengan. And then when they finally ran into Itachi, Itachi was like, "I have no interest in my brother. I have interest in Naruto." So like Naruto had literally stolen everything. Like the shine, the spotlight, even the attention of the guy who was he's trying to get stronger to kill, right? All of this shit. And this results in a nagging jab in the back of his ego that just starts crumbling and crumbling and fucking crumbling. And then he recovers and he's like, "You know what, Naruto, you a bitch ass motherfucker, fight me." And you're just like, why in the world would we do that? Because because Sasuke couldn't get over his ego. He realized he was gaining a true friendship with Naruto, and he was like, he can't be better than me. And it fucked him all the way up. And it felt like he wasn't getting any stronger versus Naruto, who was jumping leaps and bounds. Even though, ironically enough, I think My Hero does that same dynamic better. And the context is like, you were already at the top. People at the top don't have a lot further to go. Like their growth isn't as obvious. There's a good line I think in My Hero about that, where I think All Might's talking to Bakugo, and it's like, "Listen, you're already up here." So like growth for someone who's already up here, it's still happening, but it's a lot less obvious. But when you start at the bottom, every jump you make, everything you do is so big. And then eventually it peters out when you hit the higher you go. You're still making progress, but it's nowhere near as obvious. That's me bringing in some My Hero stuff. But the point is, that was Sasuke's ego, and he couldn't get past it, which is why we get part 2 Shippuden. Black Clover's relationship with like Asa and Yuna's relationship is nothing like that. They are friends / rivals / brothers the whole fucking time. Now, I mentioned the Langris one, where like he talks that shit, and Yuno's like, "Dude, I have no shame in Asta whatsoever." And you can see he's doing the same kind of shit Sasuke and Naruto do to each other as far as goading them. Like when they were fighting Zagrid, and he's like, "If you don't fucking hurry up, I'm gonna leave you behind which is when he finally, when I think, you spared a Zephyr, the sword of Zephyr the first time. That's when I think that was the first time Isaac finally got a hang of like Black Divider. He hadn't mastered it, but he could use it because that they were constant pushes for each other. It was like you push me, and if you start lagging behind, I push you. Like that's how it is. That's the relationship. The relationship is a very healthy version of Naruto and Sasuke's relationship, but people always correlate the two because of their base personalities. Because Naruto on a base level and Asuka on a base level are annoying little kids who start off as quote unquote weaklings, right? And and Sasuke start off as pretty powerful, pretty boys. But no one talks about the intricacies and the differences. To give you an example, Sasuke is not open to helping Naruto sometimes. Sometimes he'll just let him bust his ass for no other reason than fuck him, right? Whereas, I think when they got invited to the capital, I think it was after, I want to say it was after the dungeon clearing, and that was when we met Noel's siblings officially for the first time. And Nasta got on the table and was like, I'm going to collect enough merit and become the Wizard King. And they were all trying to shut him down. There's a good subtle scene where was reaching for his book just in case. He was like, because if Asta's in trouble, he is still open to openly helping Asta regardless of the situation. But he wanted to make sure Asta was legit in trouble. That's why he reaches for the book. But once Asta cuts that stupid ass sand magic with the sword, he's like, oh, he's fine. And when he knocks Solid's water bullet back, he's like, okay, yeah, he's good. Even in the goddamn Diamond Kingdom arc, not Diamond Kingdom, but the dungeon arc, where Mars is swinging the giant sword at him, and he fucking pulls out his sword and cuts it to save Yuno from getting his ass slashed. They're very, very cordial and consistent with that. Even the language scene I mentioned, right before that, Finral, Charmy, and Asta use this combo attack to attack the guy who's using jelly magic or whatever the fuck it is, or slime magic. I don't know the official name of it. And once they finish the attack, is nice enough to send out some wind because Asta's arms are broken and he's using his teeth for his sword and shit to hold his sword. He used the wind to let Asta land on his feet. That's the kind of kindness Naruto doesn't show nowhere near as much. It's always this petty ass, what's wrong, loser? I thought you were better than that. It's always like this low-key antagonistic shit all the time. Not saying that that Black Clover doesn't do that. Does that twice, where he throws big ass attacks at Asta. Now, granted, it's under the confidence that Asta can stop an attack of that magnitude, but it still comes off as like this cheeky ass, like, bruh, that's a giant fucking windbird. Maybe not throw those at me. Twice he does it, by the way. He does it at the end of the I like to call it the zombie attack on the Capitol arc. And then he does it again during the Star awarding ceremony. And in both of those moments, I very much, and you can tell that was very much confident in the fact that Asa could stop it. But it is one of those like weirdly, slightly antagonistic. Even, I don't know if it was an anime exclusive thing, but that he writes a message in the wind talking about see you later, Shrimpsta, or later Chibi, like dumb Asta. Like he gives him like a nickname. But you can see in their flashbacks, they have a very healthy relationship. That's one of the reasons why he always holds Asta in high regard. Hell, in episode 100, when they fight Lich, somewhat awake, he's still banking on Asta, who at this point had been knocked low-key out for a little bit, right? That's their bond. That's a consistent showing they very much count on each other. Naruto only did that for a portion of its series, which I would say it's the beginning until, maybe the Gar arc is the last time Sasuke's like fully, I'll say when Sasuke was coming to fight Itachi, because I think he was coming to help Naruto out. I don't remember that one as clearly, but that was like the last time they were cool. Because remember, after that, we're getting the Sasuke retrieval arc where he's a dick, the majority of the series where he's a dick, and then he doesn't really mellow out until the very end. And I mean the very fucking end of Naruto. Like Naruto had just beat his ass. They were working on fixing their arms. Like Their relationship is nowhere near consistent. Hell, Naruto and Sasuke were enemies for the longest time through the majority of Naruto. The majority of Naruto is them being antagonistic towards each other. Primarily, Sasuke being a shitty friend. That's why I said the relationship is toxic as hell. It's an abusive relationship. That was one of the first bonds Naruto had. He states it multiple times through the series. And because he holds that bond with Sasuke so fucking much, he holds it with such high regard because of how much it means to him, he puts up with all the abuse that Sasuke treats him because he holds it that highly. But in realistic terms, that's not a healthy fucking relationship. That's toxic as hell. And Sasuke, who claims that Naruto is his best friend, has actively gone out of his way in multiple situations just to fuck with him. He only really started agreeing with him towards the end with the fucking Madara and Obito fight. And even then, that's because his mindset changed for the 3rd or 16th goddamn time. Like, that's why I hate when people compare those two relationships. Because from the very beginning, they were never the same. Sasuke and Naruto's relationship in the beginning of Naruto was Naruto trying to constantly catch up to Sasuke. Constantly trying to catch up to Sasuke, and Sasuke going in between hating him but caring about him. And he kept flip-flopping throughout a good chunk of the series until probably until the guard, where he actively just had to like relinquish, like, listen, you need to save Sakura. Do it, please. Like, he actually had to rely on him. And that was only like one arc. And then after that, he's not seen for a bit. And that's the other thing. That's the difference too. Is that Yuno isn't on the same team as Asta, so he's not in every arc. Granted, that becomes somewhat true for Sasuke once we hit Shippuden, and they pretty much are separated after the first fucking arc. But I just never understood this fucking comparison they always do, where they always want to say like, "Oh, the relationship, he's just not Asta and Yuno are just another version of Naruto and Sasuke," and I'm like, no, they're not, because Naruto and Sasuke are a toxic ass relationship. That is a terrible relationship. On an objective standpoint, that is a terrible friendship, because it was very much built on them having something in common but not knowing how to express themselves. And then when they start developing that relationship, Sasuke couldn't let go of his stupid fucking ego, and everyone else paid for it. And he got taken advantage of by Orochimaru and just never learned his fucking lesson. In a lot of ways, you could argue Sasuke is a tragic character. But that's not what this video is fucking about. But yeah, that's just my whole shtick. I actively hate the fact that they always do this with Asta and Yuno, because I'm like, the relationship is nowhere near the fucking same. That's my whole point. I'm not saying that's bad storytelling, the way that Naruto handles it. I'm just saying that is very, very different than the brotherly relationship, the consistently brotherly relationship that those two have, that Asta and Yuno have. So stop fucking saying they're the goddamn same or they're so fucking similar. You're basing that off of Naruto's loud, Asta's loud, Sasuke's quiet and cool and mysterious, Yuno's quiet, cool and mysterious. You're basing it off of like really like some surface level shit, and you never go anything further than that, so you don't realize it's more than just skin. Fuck. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. This has been your boy Schizomanic. Likes the game, play to win. Peace off.